Good evening. We're going to go ahead and call this slightly delinquent, specially called council meeting tonight to order. We're going to begin with an invocation by Pastor Christian Shears of Trinity United Methodist Church. And before he offers the prayer, I want him to come forward and just fill in the details on what his responsibilities at Trinity is, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand.
Hey guys, it's a pleasure and honor just to be in your space and place. My name is Christian Shears, like Bruce said, and I'm from Trinity, and basically I'm planting a new worship community with our aim is to just embrace the diversity that all of Homewood represents. It's a big initiative for Trinity, and I see some of my Trinity brothers and sisters here, and we really are taking it seriously. And the name of the new worship community is Viewpoint, and it's such an honor just to be a part and take part of this. And so can we bow our heads for a word of prayer?
Please.
All right. Dear Lord, Heavenly Father, we thank you. We thank you for another chance to approach your throne of grace, God. We ask, dear Lord God, as we make decisions for our community, our town, and the people who live in it, dear Lord God, that we first keep you at the center, dear Lord God. Regulate our minds, regulate everything that's happening, all the agenda items. May they first give you glory and let us give you glory. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Christian, you could have mentioned the once a month on Thursday nights.
I didn't want to go too far.
No, it's okay. I'll let you do that.
So we have a worship experience once a month on Thursday night. We're transitioning to Sunday evenings. So our next worship experience will be June 10th. If you can't make that one, the next one will be July 22nd. If you can't make that one, the next one will be August 12th. So I would love to see you guys come in to one of those worship experiences and participate with us. It would be a wonderful thing. And it's at Trinity Wesley Hall at 6 o'clock. And if you don't know or you forget, I have some wonderful peeps on the board who will keep you guys accountable. Specifically Jennifer and Andy and Britt. So I'm calling y'all out. Keep y'all brothers and sisters accountable to those dates. But thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Christian, thank you very much.
No
And you're not required to stay, but you're welcome to if you want. Okay. Could you call roll, please,
Yes, ma'am.
Melody?
Yes, sir. I'm sorry. Mr. Gwaltney.
Here.
Mr. Thames.
Here.
Mr. Higginbotham.
Here.
Mr. Wolverton.
Here.
Mr. McCluskey.
Here.
Mr. Jones.
Here.
Mrs. Smith. Mr. Wyatt. Mrs. Andress.
Here.
Mr. Wright. And Mr. Limbaugh. We do have a quorum.
Here. All right. Thank you very much, ma'am. Reading of the minutes of May 14th, 2018. The chair would welcome a motion for dispensing of said reading and approval of the minutes.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Andress, second by Ms. Smith. Any further discussion? There being none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And that is passed unanimously. Let's talk about board vacancies and appointments for just a minute. We'll begin with Ward 2. Do y'all have an HEC nomination?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We actually have a nomination for two different spots. We have both of them expired today, and we only had one applicant for each, so we're going to put their names forward. And so for Homewood Environmental Council in Ward 2, I wanted to put the name of Matt Rich forward. I believe Ms. Salter forwarded his resume to all the members of council a couple of weeks back, so I would like to place his nomination.
All right.
And nomination.
All right, so we have a recommendation by Mr. Higginbotham. Do we have a second? Second by Mr. Wolverton. Any further discussion? All in favor of said nomination, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? If you'll let Mr. Rich know, we would appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
Again, Mr. Higginbotham.
One other quick one. For Ward 2 Homewood Historic Preservation Commission, we had one applicant. It's Mr. Will Womack, who is a history professor, so that's a pretty good fit.
Oh, good.
I'd like to place his name in nomination.
All right, so we have a motion from Mr. Higginbotham. Do we have a second? Second. From Mr. Wolverton. Assuming no other discussion, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that is passed. All right, Ward 3, you have a BZA opening.
They did ask me to confirm that last time, and I spoke to Donna. She said that we did.
We did, okay. Well, we did
Did we open it?
No, we just carried it over for me to find out. I
Okay.
mean, we didn't open it. You just asked me to find out.
All right, well, we need to open that.
Mhm.
For how long?
Till the, I guess, end of June, is that too long?
You could do June 25th is the,
Is the next, is the last council meeting?
is the last council meeting, so.
Why don't we do it 22nd? Yeah, 22nd at 4:30.
Got it.
All right, so we will post that accordingly, right?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. That don't require a vote. No, I didn't think so, no. All right. We have, as I can tell, best I can tell, 15 modifications, shall we say, to the agenda. So if you will, start taking notes and bear with me. We have one item that we're going to move to consent, which is an existing item, which is 10:05:18. We also have a committee referral item, again, we're going to jump around a little bit, bear with me. 29:05:18, request to set a public hearing to, refer to special issues for a variance to the sign ordinance at 285 Palisades Boulevard, requested by Frank Ippolito, it's IPP-LITO, and Greg Cobb. And that is two. We also, let's see, another old business item is 080418, which is to request a public hearing on the speed bumps on Berry Road, requested by Patrick McCluskey, and we will leave the time and date for that open based on some research on Mr. Kendrick's part. From Finance, we have 110717, which is a request for update on new public safety center construction project, requested by Alex Wyatt. This budget was approved on 11/27/17, but carried over for further action as needed, which is tonight. 120418, which is request to review fiscal year 2016-17 audited results and financials, which were presented to Finance by Jason Hart, a CRI, Mayor McBrayer, requested by Melody Salter, our Finance Director and City Clerk, and Robert Burgett, our Principal Accountant. 050518, request for consideration for approval of funding for Greenway Trail Phase 2 easements, Track 2 and Track 6, requested by Greg Cobb, our BEZ folks. 060518, request for consideration to declare Police Department K-9 Justice surplus and retire him from police service due to age and other factors. Requested by Chief Ross, our Police Department. 070518, request for consideration of an ordinance levying ad valorem taxes for October 1, 2018, requested by our City Attorney and City Clerk. 080518, request for consideration of an ordinance granting an exemption from ad valorem taxes for October 1, 2018, requested by our City Attorney and City Clerk. 090518, request to authorize the mayor to sign a contract with Behavioral Sciences, Inc. Did I get that right, Ms. Salter?
Yes, sir.
And to terminate existing contract with EDPM, requested by Harold Parker and Ms. Salter. 070418, request for consideration for permission to work in the city right-of-way at 123 Henna with one N Street, requested by Joey Miller, Greg Cobb, and our BEZ folks. 110518, request for consideration of approval of supplement number 2 on Oxmoor Road project, requested by Greg Cobb. Let me see if I can get these other items. Okay, new item, another committee referral is 280518, request for consideration to become an official fan guide sponsor for the December 22nd, 2018 annual Birmingham Bowl, requested by Martin Meadows, Barry Smith, referred to Finance. Another committee referral is 300518, request to consider revisions to fiscal policy, requested by Walter Jones, again referred to Finance. 230518, which is request for consideration of an ABC 060 retail table wine owner off premises for Quality Wines, LLC, DBA Classic Wine Company, located at 1831 28th Avenue South, Suite N110, requested by Melody Salter. Yes, it is. Yeah. And I'm sorry, did I not say that? My fault. No. Thank you. Keep me straight. And lastly, no, I think that's it.
President Limbaugh.
Wait a second. Time out. Let me do one more, and then first, Ms. Salter first. Ladies always first.
I said you did an excellent job. I may have missed this, but what about 130418 that went right after the audit, which was the inventory and assessment of city facilities? Because I thought they voted that out to accept.
1304. You're correct, and I'm wrong. Yes, 130418. Was that what you were going to do, Mr. Jones? It was. Okay. 130418, request for mayor to present inventory and assessment of city facilities, rolling stock, and equipment to council per their fiscal policy. Requested by Mayor McBrayer, Melody Salter, our finance director and city clerk, and Robert Burgett, our principal accountant. So, with that, are there any other items that I may have missed? Again, it's just 15. If there are not, the chair would welcome a motion and a second for the amended agenda.
Second.
Motion from Ms. Smith, second from Ms. Andrus. Thank you, ladies. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Well, let's jump right into it. We will start with the consent agenda. Chair would welcome a motion and a second for approval.
Second.
Motion from Ms. Smith, second from Ms. Andrus. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Now, we'll start with old business, which is 060418, request for consideration for permission to work in the city right-of-way at 1012, 1014, and 1018 Gray Street, requested by Mike Morrow and Greg Cobb. Report from Special Issues, Ms. Smith.
Yes, this was actually discussed at our May 7th special issues meeting. We voted 5-0 to refer this item back to full council without a recommendation, pending a meeting that was scheduled after our meeting concerning the retaining wall of the road. Motion was made by Mr. McCluskey, seconded by Mr. Higginbotham, and again, it came out of council without a recommendation, out of the committee without a recommendation for 5-0.
Okay, I understand. So, is there any information, Mr. Cobb, you can share with us on this?
Yes, sir. I think I did tell you, we met Mr. Bill Lavender a couple of weeks ago. Concern was the footer of the retaining wall being off the right-of-way and onto the school board property. Mr. Morrow couldn't be here tonight, but he told me today that he thought that he could get it all within the right-of-way and not have to get on the school board property, and he's asked for some additional survey, so I would just ask you to carry it over one more time and let us get that resolved.
We will carry that over, yes, sir. Thank you very
Thank you.
much. We look forward to being able to rectify it at the next meeting, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. All right, 140518, public hearing set for June 11th at 6 p.m. for consideration of a variance to the sign ordinance at 2821 Central Avenue, requested by Joshua, Gentry and Greg Cobb. And again, we'll carry that over for the public hearing. We'll go ahead and do the report from Special Issues, sure.
We just met just now, and this is to replace the existing signs for Little Donkey on Central Avenue. And Ms. Andrews made a motion to send the item out without recommendation pending the public hearing on June the 11th. That motion was seconded by Mr. Gwaltney, and it was voted 5-0 to send that out pending that public hearing.
Thanks, Ms. Smith. All right, 170518, public hearing set for June 11th at 6 p.m. to consider declaring the property located at 1117 Hardwick Lane a public nuisance due to a violation of ordinances 1910 and 1750 excessive growth, and we will look forward to that public hearing at our next regularly scheduled meeting, June the 11th, and we will set it accordingly. All right. We will, again, 180418, that's a request for a public hearing to be determined based on city ordinances dealing with speed bumps on Berry Road, requested by Patrick McCluskey, and we look forward to that, Mr. Kendrick, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. And let's see, the next item is 110717, request for update on new public safety center construction project, requested by Alex White, and report from finance, Mr. Jones.
Okay, Mr. President, the Finance Committee met tonight at 5 o'clock, and the recommendation for this was 4-0 to approve the amended funding.
All right, so we have a motion from finance. Do we have any other comments or questions by anyone on the council with this particular item? Anything that y'all would like to address with the chief while he's here? If not, all in favor of approval of this amended amount, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? So that is approved. Resolution 1868, is that the correct number, I think?
I don't have a resolution because I didn't know anything about it, but I will prepare one.
Thank you, sir. But we will, again, we will make that
Thank you, Mr.
1868. Chief, thank you for your diligent work. We appreciate it, sir. All right, we're going to move on to 120418, request, I'm sorry, request to review fiscal year 2016-27 audited results and financials. Jason Harps, Mayor McBrayer, Melody Salter, and Robert Burgett. Report from Finance, Mr. Jones.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. The Finance Committee met and had the presentation from Jason, and it was very, very well received. We're continued to be blessed as a city. Got a full report, and we voted 4-0 to accept the report.
All right, so this carries a motion from Finance. Are there any questions or additional comments from any council members? If not, all in favor of approval signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? So that is unanimous, and that is Resolution 1869.
It's just a-
Pinball, there's no resolution.
Oh, is there not?
No, it's
Okay.
just an approval to accept the report. Yeah.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. Forgive me.
And the next one will be the same way on the inventory. It'll just be. a
Right,
vote to
okay.
approve.
Well, in that case, yes. Okay. 130418, request for mayor to present inventory and assessment of city facilities, rolling stock, and equipment to council per their fiscal policy, from Mayor McBrayer, Melody Salter, and Robert Burgett. Report from Finance, Mr. Jones.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. This is part of our fiscal policy. We are going to look to update it based on many changes, including increased revenue. But for this particular item, we did get the report, and it was accepted by a vote of 4-0 coming out of Finance.
Okay, so we have the motion from Finance. Do we have any other comments? If not, acceptance of the assessment, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. We will move on to 050518, which is a request for consideration for approval of funding for Greenway Trail Phase 2 easements, Track 2 and Track 6, put forth by Mr. Cobb. Report from Finance, Mr. Jones.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. The Finance Committee voted on this one 4-0 to approve the funding. It's for one tract, it's $118,000, and the other tract is $8,200. This is budgeted, so 4-0 coming out of Finance.
All right, we have a motion from Finance. Do we have any questions or comments about this? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That is unanimous. That is Resolution 1869. Okay, let's move on to 060518, request for consideration to declare Police Department K-9 Justice surplus and retire him from police service due to age and other factors, requested by Chief Ross. Chief Ross, I'm going to let you say a couple of things about this before we get a report from Finance.
Yeah, I'd like to request that we do declare K-9 Justice surplus. As Mr. President said, he's approaching the end of his working lifespan, not his life, thankfully, but his working lifespan is coming to an end. His handler, Officer Jared Simpson, just resigned recently and took a job with the FBI. So I felt like it made, from a business standpoint, it made sense to replace the dog with a new handler at the same time, rather than trying to train this dog to its third handler. That's not advisable. So we've decided to attempt to declare him surplus and return him to his original handler, Sergeant Jeremiah Moat, who is now a detective sergeant.
Okay, thank you, sir. And the report from Finance, Mr. Jones?
Yeah, we hesitated on this one. We struggled with this, but I guess, turned 65, ready to retire. So, 4-0 approval for that as an ordinance to approve this.
All right, thank you, sir. First reading, Mr. Kendrick?
Yes, it's an ordinance to declare surplus municipal property. The City Council at a regular meeting states as follows: hereby declared and established that the following described property of the Homewood Police Department is no longer needed for public or municipal purposes and therefore declared surplus. Police dog Justice, that the mayor and the clerk be authorized and directed to transfer possession of Justice to Jeremiah Moat based on the fact that Sergeant Moat agrees to be fully responsible for the care and maintenance of Justice and to provide love and affection to Justice in the future.
Thank you, sir. Motion for unanimous consent,
So
followed by,
moved.
I'm sorry. Motion from Mr. Jones, second from Mr. McCluskey. Roll call, please.
Mr. Gwaltney?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Thames?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Higginbotham?
Yes.
Mr. Wolverton?
Yes.
Mr. McCluskey?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mrs. Andress?
Yes.
And Mr. Limbaugh?
Yes, so this will be ordinance 2697, and Chair would welcome a motion and a second for adoption. Again, Mr. Jones and Mr. McCluskey. Sorry, Mr. Thames.
Can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
I'm just wondering, I know that with employees, we give them a watch or a pen or something. Is he getting at least a chew toy or some sort of?
He will be well taken care of. There's actually an idea that was presented to me by one of our Police Foundation members about having a retirement party for Justice.
Oh, you should.
And one of her goals was to identify the student who named Justice. We had a contest at the elementary schools
yes,
back
sure.
then to name those dogs, and to find that student and have them come to the party. And so we're planning on something like that in the near future. I'll let you guys know when we're able to do that. Probably, yes. If Janie has anything to do with it, it'll be a full-on party for sure.
Sounds good. All right, roll call, Ms. Salter.
Yes, sir. Mr. Gwaltney?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Thames?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Higginbotham?
Yes.
Mr. Wolverton? Mr. McCluskey?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mrs. Andress?
Yes.
And Mr. Limbaugh?
Yes, so 2697 passes unanimously. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Chief. All right, 070518, request for consideration of an ordinance levying ad valorem taxes for October 1st, 2018, requested by both our city attorney and city clerk. Mr. Jones.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. The Finance Committee voted 4-0 to approve this ordinance.
All right, thank you, sir. First reading, Mr. Kendrick.
Yes, so this is an ordinance to provide for the levy of municipal taxes for the city of Homewood and the assessment of collection of such taxes. The tax year assessed is October 1, 2018, and shall end on the 30th day of the next succeeding September and the 30th day of each successive September unless otherwise provided. That the tax basis when due, that on or after the first day of October 2018, all municipal taxes due to the city shall be based on due to the state and county assessments of property within the limits of the city of Homewood for the preceding tax year. Section 3 sets out the municipal assessment of taxes, which is identical to what's previously been assessed. Section 4 talks about the levy of school taxes, which are identical to those that have been assessed. Section 5, the tax levy for building and public schools, fire, hall, library, swimming pools, parks, park grounds, and recreation facilities are identical to the assessment previously made. Section 6 deals with severability. Section 7, effective a lien. The levy of all taxes made hereunder shall go into effect as of October 1, 2018. Section 8, the tax collector is to be compensated as provided by law for the collection of the taxes and the assessment of property. Section 9, that the probate judge is to be compensated on redemption based on the state code. Section 11, license commissioner and his compensation. The license commissioner shall receive compensation and fees as provided by law. Section 11, that all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict with the provisions of this ordinance are repealed. Section 12, that this ordinance shall become effective immediately upon its adoption by the city council.
Thank you, sir. Chair is looking for a motion and a second for unanimous consent. Motion from Mr. Gwaltney, second from Mr. Higginbotham. Roll call, please, ma'am.
Mr. Gwaltney?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Thames?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Higginbotham?
Yes.
Mr. Wolverton?
Yes.
Mr. McCluskey?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mrs. Andress?
Yes.
And Mr. Limbaugh?
Yes, so this will be ordinance 2698, and the chair would welcome a motion and a second for adoption.
So moved.
Second.
Motion from Mr. Thames, second from Mr. Gwaltney. Roll call, please, ma'am.
Mr. Gwaltney?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Thames?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Higginbotham?
Yes.
Mr. Wolverton?
Yes.
Mr. McCluskey?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mrs. Andress?
Yes.
And Mr. Limbaugh?
Yes, so 2698 is adopted unanimously. All right, 080518, request for consideration of an ordinance granting an exemption from ad valorem taxes for October 1, 2018. Again, the city attorney and city clerk report from finance.
Mr. President, sorry, all of mine are ordinances tonight.
No problem.
We voted 4-0 to approve this ordinance.
All right, good. First reading, Mr. Kendrick.
Yes, so this is an ordinance to grant the exempt from the ad valorem taxes which you just levied for the 2018, October 1, 2018 year, based on homesteads for the city of Homewood commencing October 1, 2018. It's based on the same homestead exemption as currently provided under our current ordinance and is set out in the Code of Alabama at 4919. Under the section 4919 of the Code of Alabama as amended, the city hereby consents and grants an exemption from ad valorem taxes levied by the Jefferson County on homesteads as defined by the Constitution of the State of Alabama for school district purposes, provided, however, that the exemption of homestead contained in this section shall be effective only if approved by the County of Jefferson and the Homewood Board of Education. That this ordinance shall become null and void and of no further effect if any state order or court of competent jurisdiction prevents the implementation of the new property tax appraisal plan promulgated by the Alabama Department of Revenue.
Thank you, Mr. Kendrick. Chair would welcome a motion and a second for unanimous consent.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Higginbotham, second by Ms. Andress. Roll call, please, ma'am.
Mr. Gwaltney?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Thames?
Here.
Mr. Higginbotham?
Yes.
Mr. Wolverton?
Yes.
Mr. McCluskey?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mrs. Andress?
Yes.
And Mr. Limbaugh?
Yes, so this will be ordinance 2699, and we would appreciate a motion and a second for adoption.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Mr. Higginbotham, second by Mr. Wolverton. Roll call, please.
Mr. Gwaltney?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Thames?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Higginbotham?
Yes.
Mr. Wolverton?
Yes.
Mr. McCluskey?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mrs. Andress?
Yes.
And Mr. Limbaugh?
Yes, so once again, 2699 is unanimously adopted. 090518, request to authorize the mayor to sign a contract with Behavior Sciences, Inc., and to terminate existing contract with EDPM. Request by Harold Parker and Melody Salter. Report from finance, please.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. This is for our drug testing. We discussed this, voted 4-0 to approve the mayor signing the contract.
All right. We have a report and motion from finance. Is there any further discussion? There being none, all in favor of approval, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, this is resolution 1870, and that is unanimously okayed. All right, 070418, request for consideration for permission to work in the right-of-way at 123 Henna Street, requested by Joey Miller, Greg Cobb, and report from Special Issues, Ms. Smith.
Yes, the committee met right right before this meeting and heard from the developer and a civil engineer hired by the developer about the improvements they were wanting to do. We made a motion to approve the work in the right-of-way. That motion was denied with a vote of 0-5. The motion was made by Mr. Gwaltney, seconded by Mr. McCluskey, and again, the committee voted to deny that work in the right-of-way with a vote of 0-5.
All right, so, Mr. Kendrick, walk me through this just a minute, if you would, please. Okay, since Special Issues has voted to deny this, do we vote in a resolution or just in a?
Yes, sir, you need to have that's the committee recommendation. You have a positive motion, second, and then vote.
Okay, all right, well,
Just
let's,
the recommendation of the committee.
all right, so we have the recommendation of the committee. I'm sorry, what? Okay, we have the recommendation of the committee. All in favor of approval of the recommendation signify by saying aye.
So
Wait.
And it's in the
let's
positive.
clarify that, yeah. It's in the
It's in the
positive.
Oh, I
positive.
did, that's what I did.
So a yes vote.
A yes
Backs
vote
up the
backs
committee's
the
decision.
Special Issues Committee decision, yes.
That's what he said.
The
No.
motion is to approve it, and then there needs to be
approve.
a second, and then you, a no
It's
vote
just like we
would
did in
be to
committee.
deny it, a yes
So it
vote
needs
is
to be the
approve.
exact same motion that came out of committee, which
Yes, ma'am.
is
Yes, ma'am.
vote to approve, yes. The motion
Okay,
is in
I'm
the
with you.
positive.
Okay, I will move to approve.
No, it's
No,
already.
no, no.
No.
it's already a motion.
No, we
No, he
already
just
have,
said-
we, excuse me, that I know, we already have that because of
Yeah,
special,
the motion came out of
of committee.
committee.
Then I will second.
There's no.
You
There's
don't
no
have to say
second.
anything.
Okay, I'm sorry.
It's okay,
Then I'm turning my mic off.
it's all right. All right, all in favor of approval of the motion signify by saying aye. All opposed signify by saying nay. Nay. Okay, and the nays are therefore unanimous, okay? Now, is that the nay is a resolution,
No,
Mr.
sir.
Kendrick? Okay, good.
It
That's
failed.
what I wanted. Thank you. Okay, 110518, which is a request for consideration of approval of supplement number 2 on the Oxmoor Road project. We are sending that, we are referring that to finance. Mr. Jones?
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
good. All right. Next item is committee referral agenda. I need a motion and a second for approval. Motion from Mr. McCluskey, second from Mr. Higginbotham. Thank you. Any further discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. All right, now we're moving on to other new business. Part of that is going to be, hold on. Yes, 230518, and I am trying diligently to see where I wrote 230518.
It's already on the agenda.
That's right, we moved it from referral to, okay, 230518. Thank you, Mr. McCluskey. Request for consideration of an ABC 060 retail table wine owner off premises for Quality Wines LLC, DBA, doing business as Classic Wine Company located at 1831 28th Avenue South, Suite N110. Melody Salter, our city clerk, and this was to be referred to public safety, but we're bringing it out for the council as a whole tonight. Mr. Cobb, do you have a report on this?
The owner of the property called and is asked to move this up. They said they just recently got their license for off-premise, said it backwards again. So they were asking to get their on-premise license, they're ready to open.
Okay, are we aware, and I'm going to look at Mr. McCluskey because he would normally handle this, aware of any problems with the police or fire on this?
No, based off of my conversation with the owner and again with Melody, it's basically a formality in the fact that they have to, once again, go through the same process that they went through for the off-premise license. But nothing has changed with the company or the people that are in it, so we don't see any issue in fire or police having any issue. So we brought it off the referral agenda so that it wouldn't take, an extra 3 weeks.
I understand.
So
are you making this a motion?
I would make the motion as to not having
Any objection?
Thank you, that was the word. Any objection to the issuance of the license based off of the letters from police and fire that will be coming soon?
Great, so we have a motion from Mr. McCluskey. Do we have a second? Second from Mr. Gwaltney. Any further discussion? There being none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And that is approved if you'll let them know. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right, we're moving on to other new business. 240518. We carried that one over, didn't we? Mr. Jones?
No, sir, we passed this. I think this is an
I'm sorry,
additional-
I put this one on the new business. I
additional
meant to let you know. Y'all passed the resolution last time for executive time, and I told you we were going to come back for additional budget funding. I was just trying to clean it up tonight, so we were just asking to amend the budget. The capital projects budget was at 53,000? I don't have it.
56.6 for executive.
So it was to actually use carryover fund balance and capital and move it to capital, computer and office equipment and finance for the entire project, which he says was 56.
All right,
I'd
Mr.
make
Jones?
I'd make that motion then, just for.
But secondly on that, I was letting you know, the mayor's office also asked for additional funding for the Sims property of 15,000, and that's going to come out of carryover fund balance to capital improvement building. So that one item would be to amend the capital projects fund budget for both of those items.
All right, Mr. Jones?
I'd move for that.
All right, so you would approve all of that? Do we have a second?
I would.
Second from Ms. Smith. Any questions or concerns on any of this? All right, if there are not, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? That is Resolution 1871. We do need a resolution, right, Mr. Kendall?
Yes, sir, we have that.
Good. All right, 250518, request for consideration to remove Melody Salter as city treasurer and countersigner with Bryant Bank, Iberia, and Raymond James, and name Robert Burgett as city treasurer and authorize him to sign written checks, drafts, notes, and orders of the city at said institutions requested by Mayor McBrayer. We would welcome a motion in a second, reluctantly. Somebody, no, somebody has to.
No.
Gee, thanks,
No, thank
guys.
you.
Well, I put the codicil on it reluctantly.
I would make the motion.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. Second from Mr. Thames. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. And it was done so reluctantly. That is Resolution 1872. Thank you very much. 260518, request to authorize the mayor to sign a contract with MCCI for scanning court documents requested by John Morgan and our court department. Chair would welcome a motion and a second on this. There is, well, we'll ask a question after we get the motion. Motion and a second.
I did want to just get a report real quick that we did actually do the budget amendment for this at Mr. Jones's last finance committee. We did it backwards from executive time. We did the budget amendment, but we need you to authorize the mayor to sign the contract. Y'all already amended his budget. It's for a laserfish scanning project for him to do for the new court documents before they move to the new public safety center. So y'all have already approved the funding. We just need him to sign authorize him to sign the contract.
All right, so we have a motion from Mr. Jones. Do we have a second? Second from Mr. McCluskey. Have you any other questions of Ms. Salter? If there are none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. And that is Resolution 1873. Okay, 270518, request for consideration of approval of vouchers for the period of May 14th, 2018 through May 22nd, 2018, requested by our city treasurer and the finance committee. Mr. Jones, who handled this? Mr. Higginbotham?
Mr. Chairman, I did review the vouchers last night, and I move approval of the item.
All right. Good. So we have a motion from Mr. Higginbotham, second from Ms. Smith. Any questions? There being none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That is 1874, and it is approved. Now, 290518 is a request for a public hearing and a referral to special issues for a variance to the sign ordinance at 285 Palisades Boulevard, requested by Frank Ippolito, I think I'm pronouncing his name correctly, and Greg Cobb. So we can set that public hearing for June the 11th, correct?
Yes, sir.
And we will do that. Thank you. All right, and we have said we're going to set 080418 is a request for a public hearing concerning speed bumps on Berry Road, requested by Mr. McCluskey. And we are going to, is that the one we're going to set on an open basis, or can we set that
Well,
one?
I think you can set for 11th. I think the best way to do is if you allow me to look at the ordinance,
Yes.
set it at the first occasion of the city council meeting in June.
Well, it wouldn't hurt my feelings if it was the 23rd, given the number of,
Whatever you like. I know the 23rd certainly.
well, let's set it for the 23rd then.
Is it
That'll
on the
work
25th?
great.
Is it the 23rd? So I thought it was the 25th.
Yeah, it might be the 25th.
Hold on, so let me look at the
It's the
calendar.
25th.
25th, honey,
Yes.
thank you. 25th, thank you so much. All right, with that,
It's going to be on the 25th.
Mayor,
Yeah.
thank you for indulging me in what I thought was a bit of controlled chaos tonight, but that's okay.
It was definitely controlled, in my opinion.
Yes, thank you. I'll take that as a compliment.
It was great. That was a lot of additions. Y'all did a lot of work ahead of time before the meeting tonight, so thank you for that. Just a couple of things tonight, and I'll just start by saying congratulations to our high school seniors who graduated Monday night. Certainly wish them continued success. Goodness, they're so young. They've got so much ahead of them. They don't even know yet all the opportunity that is waiting for them, and we look forward to watching them succeed. And for those that are maybe moving away and going to college and coming home to see mom and dad on the weekends or things like that, we'll certainly pray for their safe travels, and hopefully one day they'll find themselves back here in Homewood, like so many have. So just wanted to say congratulations and honor our high school students for the hard work that they've achieved and the things that they've accomplished. The second thing is not nearly as exciting, but we do have a proclamation tonight. So, Melody?
You can't do this to me, I'll cry.
Traditionally, we, I guess, turn and face the audience, but so many people here tonight. But really and truly, on this occasion, I'm just going to ask Melody to stand with her friends while we do this. So, Mel, if you'll come around here beside me. Yeah, listen, you may make me, so. So it's a proclamation that simply says, whereas Melody Salter joined the City of Homewood as principal accountant and treasurer in the finance department on March 1st, 2010, and has now resigned her position. And whereas Melody was promoted to finance director in April 2015 and used her position to tirelessly advocate for employees. She's responsible for implementing various employee benefits such as flexible spending accounts, sick leave rollover policy, along with the employee donated leave policy. And whereas Melody was appointed city clerk in June of 2016 and merged the finance department and the city clerk's office while enrolled in the University of Alabama at Birmingham in pursuit of her MBA. She's always been an advocate for academic advancement. And whereas Melody accepted all assignments without hesitation, even those from other departments, and performed them admirably. She was always eager to help employees and citizens with their problems and frequently went the extra mile to give aid and assistance without anticipation of repayment of effort. And whereas Melody's sincere attitude and dedication have served as an excellent example to those under her leadership and throughout the community over the years, Melody will always be remembered as a great employee, a wonderful coworker, and a true friend to all. So now, therefore, I, Scott McBrayer, Mayor of the City of Homewood, hereby express my sincere appreciation and gratitude to Melody for 8 years of dedicated service to the city, and highly commend her for the manner in which she's carried out her duties and responsibilities. And I also extend my personal best wishes upon her resignation and for her continued success in life's pursuits. And personally, I would just say, Melody's helped this city tremendously. One of my best hires. And she come into a situation that needed a lot of work, and I've always valued her opinion. I don't know how we got along because Melody is so detailed. I'm more big picture, which made for very interesting conversation. She usually started them out by saying, "Mayor, can I just give you the Reader's Digest version?"
Say that after a few weeks in.
Probably.
After you
Probably.
told me to give you the Reader's Digest.
Probably.
Yeah, you started that,
I mastered
Mayor.
it. I'm still on with it.
Because I was usually ready to strangle myself before it was over. But the one thing there's a lot of things to say about Melody, but I finally quit early on trying to make her go home when everyone else did. But she really does have that servant's heart that I talk about all the time. And we've been honored to have you here as our finance director and city clerk, but most of all our friend. And on behalf of the 25,000 residents, tons of businesses, your friends here on the council, city government, and all the employees, we love you and we miss you.
Miss y'all too already.
Pray for your success.
Thank you.
And wish you all the best in the world. So y'all give Melody.
Thank you all.
Let's get one with the council behind us. No, not at all. Everybody else stay. JJ, come on in.
Get close. Yeah, don't. We have to become friends. Thanks. Appreciate it.
I did just want to say that they used to order me to go home all the time when everybody else had left, but one time Bischoff said he was going to call the mayor and order me to go home, and they sent me home to Pleasant Grove when we had that tornado hit Pleasant Grove, and I was safer here at City Hall, so they quit bothering me about going home.
Oh, my gosh.
And Ms. Salter, you'll never forget that, will you? Mr. Gwaltney?
That's a tough one to follow, right? I'll keep it brief. I just wanted to highlight the Rosedale Day of Service we had this weekend and thank Christian, who was here. He was a huge partner in our efforts over there. It was a good success. We accomplished cutting grass in a number of yards. We painted a porch. We've got commitments to go back and shore up a porch that needs some TLC. And we'll do it again soon. But thank you, Jennifer, for coming out. I think Jennifer won the prize for tallest debris pile. And also, you've officially been named our photographer for the event.
Sure. Yep,
So
absolutely.
thank you for coming. We appreciate your
Glad to
support.
be there.
But it was a good event, so we appreciate the opportunity to do it and do it again soon. That's it.
All right, before I turn it over to Mr. James, Mr. Jones, I think we're going to let Finance have 5 p.m. until these major bond projects are finished. So it's not forever, but it is a little longer, okay? Now, work around it, Mr. Tabes.
Well, I wasn't going to call P&D, so that's fine. But I just echo what Andy said. The service day we had in Rosedale went great. Viewpoint and Christian brought a lot of people. We got a lot done. It was fun. We are going to make it a fairly regular event. I think the residents really appreciated what we did, and thank you to Jennifer for participating and taking pictures to document what all was going on. Also, thanks to the council for the additional funding for the Sims Garden. I think after many years of sort of wandering in the wilderness, we've got some good direction over there, and it needs some direction and needs to be kept up and needs to be done right. I think Amy is going to be an asset. She left, so she can't hear me sing her praises. She did a great job on the HEC. I think she's going to do a good job at the Sims and help the city out in some other areas. She has some skills that we could put to good use. And then finally, a quick story about Melody. Before I was on council, but after I'd been elected, the budget happens with the previous council. And I tried to come to a couple of budget hearings because I knew nothing about municipal budgeting or anything like that. Well, I was out of town one night. And so I asked Amanda, who at the time was a CPA at Price Waterhouse, just to come and just listen in for me. That was before we had kids and we could do things like that. And so when I got back, I asked her, well, how'd it go? And she goes, I really don't know. There were a bunch of people there, but there was this woman named Melody. And she knows exactly what she is doing, and you need to hang on to her. And so I'm so pleased we're able to hang on to you for as long as we were. Thank you for all the help you always provided me.
Thank you.
And maybe now you can call me Britt instead of Counselor Thames. Thank you, Melody.
I will just want to say one thing. One time I did go take a lunch, and I saw Amanda in exercise class at Shays Valley, and I said, please let Mr. Thames know that I am on my lunch hour. I'm not
Mr. Higginbotham.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First, I'd like to thank my colleagues for selecting me as the delegate to the Alabama League of Municipalities, which was over convention, which was over the weekend and then Monday and Tuesday of this week in Montgomery. It was very enlightening. As we've already discussed, I came home with some things I think we need to do as a consequence of some of what I heard. I'd like to offer a special congratulations to our colleague from Bessemer, Council President Jesse Matthews, who was elected as the State League of Municipalities President for the upcoming year. But it was a very worthwhile event, and I'm glad that I got an opportunity to attend. Thank the council for that opportunity. I also wanted to share, and it's entirely possible that I may have tripped one or two members from the city council in Trustful while I was there. That's completely unrelated to anything happened tonight, but anyway.
Good.
I also wanted to bring to everybody's attention, since we won't meet again prior to the event, that the Street Fest at Patriot Park is going to happen on June the 2nd from 4 to 9 p.m. It's a great event over in Ward 2 that has music and food and vendors and just a lot of family fun, inflatables, face painting, balloon animals. I understand that Kenny Hurd from Auburn will be doing the music, and I went to his website to see how he described his music, and I will just use his own description of his music, which is California funk meets Alabama soul. So that gives you some flavor of what to expect from Mr. Hurd. But hope all of y'all come out. It is a great event. I've gone every year, and just gets better every year, and I congratulate the folks who are organizing that from the community, and that's all I have. It's from 4 to 9 p.m. on the 2nd of June.
Thank you. Mr. Wolverton?
Yeah, firstly, I just want to say thank you, Melody, for everything. I know she's here late sometimes because I'll text her with questions, and she's like, oh, let me pull that up real quick because she's right there at the computer. So thank you for all of your long hours and everything that you've done for us and for the city. I also just wanted to reiterate Street Fest, like Mike said, this will be the fourth year? Yeah, fourth year. And it's been a great event. They are going to have things set up a little bit differently this year so as to improve the traffic for the street vendors. They're going to actually be in the park as well. And there will be bouncy houses and inflatable stuff for kids and all of that as well. And just a reminder, too, that the farmers market will be starting up in June as well on Tuesday evenings from 5 to 8.
Thank you. Mr. McCluskey?
Mr. Jones, 30 minutes, or do you need more?
30 minutes.
30 minutes is good. Okay, I'll call public safety for 5:30 p.m. And just like everybody else, I know we've all probably had our personal conversations with Melody, and we may have some more before it's all said and done. But thank you for everything that you've done for us, and especially getting all of us organized a little bit better than we were before. So I know we all greatly appreciate that, and so we wish you good luck. So that's it.
Mr. Jones?
Thank you, Melody. We spent hours and hours as we worked through the budget, and each year got better and better. I mean, that we, it just took a lot to kind of work through things. But I always appreciated your professionalism and your tenacity to keep all the details in line. I line up a little bit with the mayor, as you know, where I like high level things too, and that's sometimes difficult. But I appreciate you being understanding and providing that, because we're as I've said earlier, we're a blessed city, and I hope you know you're always welcome here, and you've been such a great asset, and we're going to miss you so much.
I'll miss y'all too. Thank you.
Thank you for all that you've done. That's all I have.
Ms. Smith?
Well, I'm going to go ahead and say it's unfair for the mayor to take two emotional moms who graduated babies this week and make us cry all over again. I thought I'd cried myself out, but apparently not. Again, I'm just going to echo everybody else's comments. I have loved working with Melody, and I will miss her immensely. I don't just think of her as a city clerk. I think of her as a friend. And like Britt, I hope that you will now call me Barry as opposed to Counselor Smith, which feels so formal. I'm going to miss you a lot. And again, I'm very proud of the class of 2018. I had one in the class of 2018. I spent most of last week crying randomly throughout the week because my baby is graduating high school and leaving my house. But they're an amazing class of kids. They're going to do amazing things, and I'm just so excited to see what effect they're going to have on the world. And I'm like the mayor. I hope some of them find their way back to Homewood. How many minutes do you think you're going to need for public safety?
We carried over everything.
30 minutes. 30?
30 minutes or more? 45?
Yeah, well, you gave me 15 today, and I took we'll just say 30.
Are you sure you want to do 45?
Yeah, no, 30 is good.
Okay.
We'll make it work.
Okay, and is there anything for Public Works for Peter? I don't think there was.
Ms. Salter, is there any public works?
I don't have the agenda on me, but I don't think it's anything that, because he didn't set it this past time. So.
Okay. Well, then I will set special issues for 6, and assuming we have the presentation from BJCTA, I guess it doesn't really matter if no one's going after me, but we may just stay here all night. No, probably 30 minutes, but I'll schedule mine for 6.
We'll see. Ms. Andrus?
Thank you, Ward 1, for letting me join in with you guys on Saturday. Andy was very organized and thorough. There was no standing around. He had a list of houses. We knew what we were doing. We set out, as one of you guys said, I don't know which one y'all said, but our presence was definitely felt. It was wonderful, so thank you both for having me out there. Melody, for me, what strikes me, I know everyone's talked about your competence, your thoroughness, your organization, and your professionalism, but for me, it's just what a nice person you are. As a new person coming into something like this, it's overwhelming, and you always responded immediately, pleasantly, happily, with a smile, with a compliment, with a sweet word every time, and it meant a lot to me, and it means a lot to me, and just we're gonna miss you.
We'll miss you too.
But we know we're in great hands with Robert, so we know you have passed the torch well, and so looking forward to moving forward with Robert. But please keep in touch.
I will.
All right. Melody, I could tell several stories, but I'm going to stop with one, but I'm going to tell one. I was convinced that no one on the planet could handle the city clerk and the treasurer's responsibilities both. And I waited till after that appointment, and I got Melody to the side, and I said, with all due respect, if you can't do this, this is okay. I didn't realize what a challenge I was issuing the lady at the time. But let me tell you, I'm going to amend what I said at that point. I don't think there's anyone much on the planet, and Robert, you can prove me wrong, okay? But I don't think there's many on the planet that can handle both those responsibilities, but I think you did extremely well. I thank you for all you did for me, and you know what I'm saying. The only silver lining to this is 2 of my 14 grandkids live in Trussville, so that's a tiny silver lining. June the 11th, Peter Wright has already agreed to chair that particular meeting. I told Miss Wolverton that my wife and I and several other Homewoodians are going to her homeland, and she said she wanted to stow away in our luggage, but that would leave you with 3 kids, so I'm not sure that would be a good thing. But a lot to be said about Alaska. We'll do you a report afterwards. Vote on June the 5th. And I'm genuine when I say, I don't care which ballot you get that's got a donkey or an elephant on it. Just go vote. I mean, there's a real reason I want a Democrat ballot, because there's some folks on there that I feel strongly about, and there's a real reason I want a Republican ballot. And I can't tell you this moment which one I'm going to get, but that's okay. Just make sure that all of us enjoy the privilege that so many have paid such a price for all of us to continue to have. So with that, we'll stand adjourned. Thank you.